What's up, heathens? I'm about to die. But seriously, how ya doing? I am a little under the weather today, but I'm still managing to get this video out there, so if it doesn't have a lot of energy in it, you'll know why. I did record this a long time ago, so please, warning on the mic, it's my old mic, and so this new mic, of course, sounds better. Don't forget to go to faithlessforum.com, get your tickets for the Faithless Forum on April 7th in Dallas, Texas. I can barely talk. Today, we're going to be going over why this one little thing in our body apparently proves that God exists, that he made and constructed the human body, and he's the intelligent designer of the universe, and this pastor is going to tell us why. So I hope that you enjoy that. Beware of the Ric Flairs, and I will see you heathens after the show. All right, let's see if we can frame this up a little bit here. All right, it's rare that we get a perfect square for a video. Evidence of God in the human body. Now, who wants to take a bet? Michelle, you can't answer. Who wants to take a bet as to what this evidence is in the human body? I don't know. I'm guessing Jesus wrote his signature or signed DNA or something, and it spells out DNA. I know that was in a Poe article recently. Let's figure this shit out.
Will always hold you together, no matter what. It's by looking a little deeper into the human body, and it's a little protein molecule called laminin.
Oh, fuck, not laminin. God damn it.
Yeah, that's about what I felt the first time I heard that.
I gotta admit, I never really heard of laminin before. I mean, it doesn't really matter. You learn new things every single day, and that's why I do these videos, is because I love learning new things. Laminin is a particular protein that's in sort of like an amalgam of proteins that helps, our tissue, remain stable or whatnot. They help tissue, connect and solidify. They're building blocks of tissues.
Long story short, the tour was winding down last time around. We were in Tyler, Texas. The night was over. A guy walks up to me. I wish I could tell you the whole story. It was so of God.
I'm giving you skeptical eye because I don't believe your fucking anecdotal story. I did look it up. There is a university in Tyler, Texas. That would be the University of Texas in Tyler. See, this is the thing about anecdotal stuff. What you do is you sprinkle in a good amount of things that are kernels of truth, and then you build up from that point. So, if there's a university that has a microbiology lab or microbiology course or something like that in it, then, say that you're passing through Tyler, Texas, and you see this guy that you just, you spoke at an event for Jesus or something, and it's like, oh, this guy came up after me. He's a microbiologist from down there at the university. You don't give his name or credentials or anything like that. I mean, who's to say that you didn't meet somebody? But at the same time, this isn't evidence for anything. Anecdotal evidence is the worst bit of evidence that you can get.
Introduces himself to me, says, how are you doing? I just want to say hello. I said, it's nice to meet you. He says, you guys winding the tour down? Where are you going to go from here? I said, well, I'm on my way back home to Atlanta, Georgia. He said, well, what's next for you? I said, I'm going to be preaching the next 2 Sundays for my pastor back in Atlanta. He said, oh, cool. What are you preaching on? I said, well, the series is on the glory of God in the human body. He said, that's really amazing. I'm a molecular biologist at the university down the road.
Sorry, molecular biologist. Doesn't fucking matter. It still. This is an anecdotal story. There's no substance in an anecdotal story. But also another thing is that if you actually go onto Snopes and look up laminin, you'll get a totally different story, including another totally different or molecular biologist or something from some who knows university. This is just like that one guy who did the atheist challenge or whatnot that stole it from another person way previous to it. I can't remember. It's Audacious Church. I remember Audacious. It's just another anecdotal story. All of this does not matter. He's dressing it up to make it seem more appealing.
Give me your talk. And I was like, oh, wow, I wasn't quite yet ready to unload the talk. for a molecular biologist, so I
Christian uncomfortable comedy.
kind of stumbled through what I had, and he's kind of being kind and gracious and like, that's good. And then he says, well, what's your big left hook? You got to have a left hook, a big finish, right? I said,
I don't know. I've just got that Mike Tyson thing where you bite off the ear. That's all I got. I mean,
I don't have a left hook yet. He said, oh, Louis, oh man, your left hook is laminin. And I'm totally blank on laminin. He goes, Louis, it's a cell adhesion molecule. Protein molecule?
Okay, it is a cell adhesion molecule, but like he's saying that this laminin is a sure sign that there's God in our bodies. I have no idea how he's connecting the two.
Do you know about proteins? I'm like, no. He said, Louis, cells organize into certain molecular structures, and that determines what protein there are. There are between 10 and 60,000 proteins in the human body. We don't even know how many proteins are in the human body. But one of them is a cell adhesion molecule. It's organized into this certain structure, and that tells the cell what its job is in the body.
Well, I mean, I don't know about that. I mean, there are a multitude of different, cell adhesion molecules, and they all have to work together in order to create this, basically a glue that keeps our tissues together. Like, they all have to work together. Like, it's not just laminin. It's not just like you take a big bucket of laminin, you throw it at somebody, and then all of a sudden their tissues turn to armor or something. I mean, I don't know exactly what he thinks like laminin's job is in this, but it's not to solely work alone to be the glue for our cells or tissues or whatnot.
And this one is a cell adhesion molecule. I'm like,
he's like a guy with a word of the day calendar. Cell adhesion, guys. Cell adhesion. That's how you prove God. Cell adhesion.
Right. He said, no, Louis, it's like the rebar of the human body. The steel they put in the concrete when they lay the foundations of things, it's that stuff.
Okay, listen, this is not Hitman, like the movie, okay? You don't have Under Armour rebar thing that's like under the epidermis that makes you fucking impenetrable and like you're fucking BJ Blazkowicz, running through the Nazi base killing motherfuckers with your rebar skin. Like, that's not what it is. I mean, it does help, but I mean, it's kind of like if you just have rebar, it's just rebar. You also need other things in order to make that rebar useful. And it's the same thing with this. You have to have other components in there in order to make it useful. Like, for instance, collagen, laminin, and fibronectin are some, not all, but they are some of the other components that help this whole cell adhesion thing, that help keep our tissues together. And did you know that actually there are other parts that don't necessarily have laminin in it that are still integral to our bodies and how they work? Like connective tissues. Connective tissues really don't have laminin in them. They are mostly collagen and elastin. So, I mean, our entire body isn't just made up of laminin. There are parts of our body that doesn't have laminin. So it doesn't make sense that God would sign his work with this one particular protein, which I still have no fucking idea how that's a signature of God.
It's holding your membranes together. It's the glue of the human body, Louis. It's laminin. You gotta tell them about laminin.
You gotta tell them about the laminin. Take your laminin book and go out there and beat them in the head because you gain knowledge by osmosis by thumping them in the fucking head.
I'm like, I promise you, I'm going home and tell them about laminin. And I'm sure when I do, revival is going to sweep across the church and probably around the world when I tell them. He said, no.
Making jokes against the scientist before he can explain himself. That's so comedic. That's like getting interrupted like while you're explaining something. It's just really annoying as fuck.
No. You got to see laminin. I'm like, okay, let's see it. He said, no. You need to go look it up online. You need to go Google laminin. I don't even know how to spell laminin.
Trust me, Google knows that you can't spell. I love how he's like, just go Google it. And like, I mean, he'll go and he'll Google that, but you tell him to go and Google like how the Big Bang Theory works or how we evolved or how our bodies work and everything like that. He won't go and look that shit up, but fuck, you tell him that it proves God and he'll research the fuck out of it.
Takes his card out, he writes on the back, Laminin.
Google could have told you that. I'm just saying.
I cannot wait to get to my computer and get on Google, click on images, type in laminin, and I'm waiting, and these little thumbnails come up on the screen, and I'm like,
he shit his pants, guys. Look at that face. This is definitely getting a boop screenshot. It's almost like he walked in on his wife porking the neighbor. Casey said it looks like an asshole.
wow, that's laminin?
Okay, could you please show us laminin, sir? Instead of building it up, could you just show us what it fucking looks like?
Cell adhesion molecule. Woo!
Damn, he turned into Ric Flair quick.
Woo! I am so excited. I am beside myself. I cannot.
He's beside himself. I don't know. That makes me think of like these out-of-body experiences and shit, and that's totally against, fucking Christianity. Unless you're going through an NDE, at that point, then out-of-body experiences is just your soul leaving your body. But you can't just do that sitting there meditating or looking at a Google search result screen. Oh, well, yeah, of course. I don't think that it's actually your soul leaving your body. It's definitely, like, an NDE is anecdotal, and NDEs, you cannot tell what happens after the blood, after the brain is in a brain dead state, or if it's, not, or if it's in a coma or whatever, not necessarily brain dead. But, I mean, you can't tell where that exactly happens. So no, it's totally bullshit, the whole soul leaving the body thing.
I believe what I'm seeing. I love laminin. I'm so fired up. You should see laminin, I guess. That's the thing, right? Okay. Here is a scientific diagram of the laminin cell adhesion molecule that's holding your body together right now, okay?
Okay, before he shows it, this is science, people. All right, verifiable fucking science, okay? That's what this is. Don't fuck around with this shit. It's science. It's a diagram. It's got, like, plots, and it's got lines and shit in it, and it's got different colors. Just watch this shit right now, or else you're no scientismist.
This is what I found right here.
Oh, shit. Woo, yeah, it's the cross, because that's definitely a sign of God. Sadly to say that this is a rather selective picture of laminin. I mean, granted, you can lay it out like that, and for a diagram purpose, this works really well because you can see all the different components of laminin. But luckily, I have a friend, Michelle. She's in the comments right now. She was able to help me out with a few pictures, a few choice pictures that are not necessarily what this fuck is shaking up right now. All right, so here's a picture of laminin that looks nothing like this guy is talking about. Now you might want to think, oh, it's the blue little ball thingies. Nope, that's not what it is. I did just say blue balls. Thank you, honey. But it's actually the green part. The green part is the laminin. But I mean, laminin and the other components that make our cells, or our tissues solid, it's kind of like a fabric. They're interwoven together. And I've even got a picture of that here in a second. So there's one picture of laminin right there. Here are some more pictures. Now this right here is kind of interesting because there are different versions of laminin that exist, and all of them have these different, different things that they do and different things that they provide. So as you can tell, this is, of course, laminin from a demonic individual because they're, of course, upside down crosses. My guess is that you can make a cogent argument where you say, oh, I can test you to see if you have, demons inside you by which way your laminins are pointing.
Your laminins are upside down, bro. You're demonically possessed.
These are my laminins. I took a blood sample earlier and had Michelle do her science thing. But as you can tell, of course, they're not all of them have the very top bit where I guess Christ's head would go. They all have a very odd tail at the very end. The very top part there, where on the far right end, is actually called the hinge, which kind of makes the whole Jesus being unhinged part is a little odd. But as you can tell, that they look different. I mean, it's a very choice selection that this guy's going with to show laminin. he may also show this kind of picture. These are electron microscopic images of laminin, but again, they're individual like laminin cells, and you can kind of see how they take the shape that he's talking about. So it's not completely wrong in the shape that it can be, but as you can also tell, they're not always in that shape. They're usually pretty fucked up. It does look like a dancing man, honey. The box with the B looks like a dancing man. Yes, this definitely would activate torque modules on all levels. Here's an example of how laminin works with these other things like collagen and shit. How it works to create this connective tissue. Sorry, did I say cells? I didn't mean cells. Obviously they weren't cells. They were laminin complexes. Thank you, Michelle. So as you can tell, the actual part that kind of looks rebarish is the type 4 collagen, which is kind of odd because he said that the squiggly shit that moves all the way around inside that thing is actually the rebar. I don't know if you guys have seen what rebar looks like inside like concrete or otherwise. It definitely doesn't go fucking everywhere. I'm sure if it did that, people would be like, what the fuck's wrong with you, son? Why are you doing this? This is no way to build any kind of structure. But as you can see, it's not just laminin. Laminin is one particular ingredient that makes up the plethora of different things that create this tissue. And actually, I misspoke. The connective tissue earlier, doesn't necessarily have all that much laminin in it, if any at all. All right, last little image, and we'll stop the science bit. We'll get back to laughing at this fool. Here you can see the different, basically the different layers and what each one contains. So like you can see the laminins 1, 5, 6, 10 or whatnot are in the next to top layer. You got the something kind of cell. I don't fucking know. But then, you've actually got mostly collagen that goes throughout it. So, I mean, I don't know why this laminin would be the sign of God and not like collagen. Like, wouldn't you make collagen something that kind of permeates more than just one level? I mean, I don't know. That's just me. All right, dude. So tell me, how does this prove God again? Because I kind of forget in the midst of all this fucking science.
No, come on, that's crazy. That's just crazy.
Wait, I get it. It's shaped like a cross, but if you believe that shaped like a cross is a sign of God, then you're also the kind of person that believes Jesus' face randomly appears in the sky in order to tell people to, I don't know, to show his praise for somebody. I mean, I don't know what the fuck. That's like, what are you gonna do today, Jesus? Oh, I'm gonna appear in the sky. Oh, what for? Don't fucking know. Just gonna appear. Next week, I'm on a goldfish cracker. This could be seen as like pareidolia, where you see design our brains are pattern seeking. So of course you see this and you're immediately gonna think Jesus Christ. But I mean, you have to refrain from that because just because you see a picture where it's shaped like that doesn't mean that is how it actually exists in reality. Which, if you refer to just a few seconds ago when we totally blew this particular point away, I mean, you could obviously see that it doesn't always look like this.
I just can't believe it. I emailed that guy back so fast, I'm like, wow, what in the world? He said, you want to see an actual laminin molecule?
It's not a fucking molecule. Like, it's a complex. I just learned that now. So, but I'm incorporating new knowledge. That's what smart people do.
I'm like, oh no, man, the diagram was cool for me. I'm happy.
Also, I would think that a molecular biologist wouldn't say, hey, you want to see a laminin molecule? I don't think that they would say that, considering they're not fucking molecules, they're complexes.
With that, don't bother sending anything else. I'm like, yes! And he sends me this image, an electron microscopic image of an actual laminin protein molecule. It looks just like this.
Again, cherry picking. That's similar to the images, the whole collection of images that I showed you just a few minutes ago. So that's why he's showing it, because it's confirmation bias. And that's all this entire thing is. Yay! Whoopee! Whoa, look at that! All of my preconceived biases are confirmed through confirmation bias because that's what it does.
I'm like, how crazy is that? That the stuff that holds our bodies together, that's holding the lining of your organs together, holding your skin on.
You know, it's like Jesus is giving you a bear hug, but it's just the perfect pressure.
The perfect shape of the cross of our Lord Jesus Christ.
We have different fucking opinions on what perfect means, apparently. Honestly, I don't think that we should have opinions on what the definition of perfect is. What I saw was not a perfect representation of the cross. Last time I checked, the cross was always two straight boards that are perpendicular to each other, not this fucking squiggly-ass thing that sometimes is all fuckered in all different ways. Here's another thing to consider. When we're talking about it's a perfect representation of Christ or whatnot, here's another thing to consider. The fact that crucifixion doesn't necessarily look like that. Like, it doesn't necessarily look like the cross that we're used to. Crucifixion could have also been just a single, like, tree kind of thing where somebody is nailed to it somehow like that. Like, it doesn't, like, a crucifixion thing doesn't necessarily have to have that. Sometimes I believe crucifixions were done where they shoved the piece of wood up through their scrotum. And you know, that was not pleasant at all, but, you know, that's still crucifixion. I mean, crucifixion didn't necessarily look like it's always depicted for Christians.
And immediately I'm thinking about the words of Paul in Colossians 1. You know this beautiful passage where Paul's talking about the supremacy of Christ and the sufficiency of Christ. He says, for by him, talking about Jesus Christ, all things have been created. Things in heaven and things on earth. All things were created by Jesus and for Jesus.
Oh, okay. If everything was created by Jesus and for Jesus, number one, doesn't that make him really fucking selfish? I mean, it just like, I mean, what if everything I did was for my own betterment or for my own amusement and I just left my son out to, you know, do what the fuck ever and like fend for himself and shit. But also this whole idea that everything is created for Jesus and by Jesus. I mean, you have to take into account like all of the genetic diseases that happen out there. Like, did Jesus create that for himself? If he did, then that makes him a sick fuck, doesn't it? You know, there are some kids that are born without fucking eyelids. You think he did that for just some kind of comedic thing one night? Well, now this is a good point. Casey actually pointed out how, Jesus humans existed way before Jesus and the cross and everything was a thing. And that's a really good point. But what I would say is that in the Jewish dogma, or in the Christian dogma too, Jesus is actually a pre-existent figure. He existed before time itself. No, true. That's the point that I'm about to get to, is the fact that the cross is very much a product of the time in which Jesus was alive, supposedly alive.
But then the next verse goes on to say this. It's crazy. And he, Jesus, is before all things. And in him, that is, in Jesus Christ, all things hold together.
You know, this particular part right here sounds a lot like that one verse in the Bible, which post-production I'll put it up. But there's this one verse in the Bible where it talks about how everything is made out of the same stuff. And people want to interpret that as it saying, is it talking about atoms? But, you know, that's not what it was talking about. Like, it was a very crude, like, I don't know, some kind of way to rationalize what everything is made out of. Like, everything is made out of this one thing, and we don't know what it is, but God made it, kind of thing. And they want to say that was hypothesizing atoms, but that kind of definition is so far removed from atoms that you cannot even speculate that they were trying to mean that.
It's right there. I'm like, of course they do. Of course they do. Everything holds together in Jesus Christ.
You know, I wonder, do these people like go down the road and see like, I don't know, some kind of haphazard telephone pole that looks like a crucifix or a cross? Like, you think they see that and they're like, Jesus is everywhere.
And he goes on at the end of this paragraph, and he just tells the story of grace. He says, for God was pleased to have all his fullness dwell in Christ.
Oh, that sounds dirty, dog. God's fullness filled Jesus up as he butt fucked him and then called him Israel.
And through Christ to reconcile to himself all things by making peace through his blood shed on a cross.
You know, that's some major bullshit right there. Like, you know, I'm going to go and die for you guys. Oh, yeah? Why are you dying again? Oh, it's because I gave you this whole sin thing. Oh, I thought that was our fault. Well, yeah, but I mean, our whole backstory wouldn't make sense if, you know, you guys didn't sin. So, I mean, it was part of my plan the entire time. Oh, and then you got that omnipotent thing right there, Jesus. Yeah, we're fucking omnipotent too, so I kind of knew this whole shindig was going to happen. Actually, if I didn't get crucified, it would actually throw my plans off. So I needed to be crucified in order to undo the thing that I needed you to do in the first place in order to guilt you into worshiping me. So, yeah. Oh, man. Well, I mean, that's it for the video. Thank you, Heathens, for making it to the end. I hope that you'll go down below and leave me your thoughts and ideas on this particular pastor's quote-unquote argument, which is really just an anecdotal story that supposedly proves that God's the intelligent designer of the universe. Leave those thoughts down below, as well as smash that like button and subscribe if you like this kind of content. Don't forget about the Faithless Forum. I can't wait to see you heathens there. If you want a beanie, please email me. The email is in the description. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice. Bye, heathens.